The Black Death by Kendall Max Friss and Aaron Chapman. What was the impact of the Black Death on life in the 14th century?
The bubonic plague, or the Black Death, was caused by fleas in the stomachs of the shipboard black rats. These rats made their way across Europe on the ships that brought trade from other places. The rats had easy access to the people because of the crowdiness in Europe and the unsanitary living conditions. The disease was very contagious and could be transmitted upon touch.
Soon, almost all of the port cities and much of Europe was infected, with the exception of Spain and Portugal. It reached Paris in 1348 and took about 1 to 2 years for it to reach northern France and southern Germany. After 5 years, 25 million people were dead, 1/3 of Europe's population.
The symptoms of the Black Death, or the bubonic plague, were cough, painful swelling of the lymph glands, or buboes, and the red spots on the skin that eventually turned black, giving the name the Black Death. There was no cure for the disease. The patient could only receive treatments that would ease the pain.
Prices in general rose, and the labor force was significantly smaller after the plague left only few survivors. The survivors wanted higher wages and retaliated to get them. By the end of the 14th century, revolts broke out in England, France, Belgium, and Italy.
Land values rose significantly as well. People were certain that once you got the plague, you were going to die. This drove many families away from their dying loved ones.
The infected became religious as a last effort to save themselves. People explained the disaster through literature and art. Much of it was depicted as a disturbing obsession with death.
In a time where clerics were often criticized, their behavior during the plague was exemplary. The priests, monks, and nuns stayed behind and tended to the sick and buried. The dead insisted on fleeing to another healthy country. Sadly, their mortality rates increased as a result, and many laymen and women were felt to do their jobs like here the infected's confessions.
Because England and much of Europe was overpopulated, the decline in population caused a, quote, balance between labor, land, and capital, end quote. This also meant a sharp increase in per capita wealth.
So, how did the Black Death change the way of life in the 14th century? It affected society in a way that never made a recovery because of the plague. And so we're excited.